Right, Assalamu alaikum everybody, good evening and welcome to the Future Birmingham podcast, a podcast where we speak about everything to do with Birmingham. Currently, Birmingham is going through the election process. On the 7th of May, you, the residents of Birmingham, will be voting for your elected councillors. Birmingham is on a decline. What will our next batch of councillors bring with them? What's their vision? What's their foresight? And what are their pledges? So we are inviting all councillors on, all candidates on, to come on, say their piece and address you, the audience, and let us know what they plan to do. With us this evening, we have a current serving councillor for the Labour Party, Saima Suleman, who is representing the ward of Hall Green North. Saima, Assalamu alaikum, thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Salam, Abid, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
I know it's not easy for major parties to come. I've had a few challenges with certain parties, candidates coming onto the podcast, so I really do appreciate it and I appreciate the efforts. So, Saima, current serving councillor for Labour Party. For the people that don't know you, just a bit about yourself, please.
So I am currently the councillor for Hall Green North.
Yeah.
I am also the cabinet member responsible for digital, culture, heritage and tourism, amongst a few other things, which is in my title. Yes, I'm a mom of 4 beautiful children, and I'm currently living in Hall Green North, and I'm bringing my family up there.
Okay. So you're standing again for the elections in 2026. Why should the residents renew their trust in you?
So I'd like to talk about some of my achievements in the area. So I think, absolutely when I go out now and talk to residents, it's about what I've done in the last 5 years. First of all, it's been an absolute honour to serve as a councillor for the area that I live in.
Yeah.
It's an amazing community. So if I was to talk about 3 things that I've achieved as councillor for Hall Green North, I think the first one, which is something that's personally really important to me, has been around road safety. As a mom bringing up my children in Hall Green North, we have 5 schools in the area. We have a secondary school.
It's a very highly populated area as well, isn't it?
We have a college in there, a real young population.
Yeah.
So it was really important to me, safety around schools, tackling speeding issues. And I'm really pleased that, we've introduced measures to tackle all of those issues, whether it's speed reduction measures, whether it's safety around the schools, Hall Green Primary School, Hall Green Secondary School. So that's been part of engaging with the schools, engaging with the head teachers of the schools, really understanding, what the challenges were in those schools, and implementing, measures that would make an impact. I think the most recent one, significant one for me in that aspect has been acquiring average speed cameras on the Stratford Road.
Okay.
There's been a
in
number
the Hall
of
Green yes.
There's been a number of tragic deaths on that road, and that was something that I strongly campaigned for.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I'd like to talk about is we have a really young population in Hall Green, and we hear about a lot of the time about young people not having anything to do, not enough services for young people.
Which then obviously leads to antisocial behaviour and various challenges.
So what was really important to me was really making use of, the government's holiday half club funding.
Okay.
And we're really pleased that this time around that the Labour government has extended that funding. So we have.
Can you explain that funding,
please? So it's a money for clubs that happen in school holidays.
Okay.
So you have activities, physical activities. They also provide food and meals during those activities.
Yeah.
And keeping whether it's arts activities, sports activities, a range of activities that the clubs will have. So we had a number of them in Hall Green, which we're able to continue. But most recently, working with Active CIC, we've managed to get one in Hall Green Secondary School, which I helped broker the conversation and really get that over the line with Hall Green Secondary School, which is aimed at secondary school children, because that's where there isn't a lot of the holiday clubs are aimed at younger children. So what that means is that not only we've got activities for children, it also means that the parents who are working, it's really helping them as well, because they've got some way.
It's a knock-on effect, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as a councillor since 2021, how would you summarise your impact so far then?
So I think if I was to talk about one specific, issue or thing that that I've done in my tenure, or that people can actually feel the difference on, has been Readings Lane Park. Now, when I stood as councillor in the last election, one of my pledges was to set up a friends group for Readings Lane Park.
Okay, is that the one on the corner of Foreman's?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So that, and I don't know if you've ever.
I've been to that venue a few times.
If you've
for
ever
birthday
visited
parties
the park.
and stuff. Yeah.
So it's a really well used park.
Yeah.
People from across the city come and use that.
Okay.
But when I stood as councillor previously, it was not in the best of condition. So I knew that it was something that I couldn't do on my own as a councillor. It had to be something that the whole community were to get them involved in it. So I spoke to some amazing residents that live in the area that were interested in volunteering, helped them set up a friends group. And through that group, we've seen activities happen in that area that the children living there would never have experienced before. So things like bird watching,
Brilliant.
a lot of the children, they never had that experience, but to see them, enjoying that and, getting these new experiences has been amazing. The second thing in that park was working with the friends group and getting funding to extend the play area. So if you visit there now, you will see that it's doubled in size from previously. Now, this wasn't something that we just did to the residents. It's really important that residents feel part of any decisions that are being made,
yes,
and that they're consulted on. So there was a consultation that took place where residents could have their say. We had young children, drawing, because obviously they may not be able to verbalise what they want to see.
Yeah, but they can draw it. Fantastic.
But they can draw it, so they drew. And one of the things that that came out strongly was the residents wanted a gym there, because there wasn't there's a lot of people who can't afford to go to the gym, or they haven't got access for physical activity.
Yeah.
So I was really pleased that as part of that phase 1, we were able to implement a gym there. The other thing that you'll notice there is that there's brand new notice boards up there.
Okay.
Now, those are really important to communities, because how do people know what's going on in the park, in the area? At one time, you'd see that there was a lot of sort of notice boards. They were quite apparent across the city and in the parks, but this is something that wasn't in Readings Lane Park.
Yeah.
So we implemented those as part of phase 1. And there is a phase 2 as well coming. So it's not just one, that it's not just one off. There's a phase 2, and part of that, we're going to improve the cricket nets that are there in the park, and also plant more trees, a diverse range of trees in there, there's some flooding issues.
So there's a comment here that the park has become a central hub for all ages in Hall Green North because of the council's work. So fantastic, brilliant. Okay, that's a good testimonial. I have a question here. Readings Lane, all Hall Green secondary schools, the parents drive on the pavements. Residents are witnessing near misses every day. What are you planning about this?
So absolutely acknowledge that. It is a real issue. Yes, it is a real issue. This is why I've worked really closely with the schools. It shouldn't be down to teachers to have to manage traffic. That's not their role. But unfortunately, we're seeing that more and more. In Hall Green Secondary School, one of the things that we implemented was putting bollards up on the nearing roads, on the curbs, just to prevent parents from parking there. And I think the other things that the school have, working with the schools, a lot of the things have been around raising awareness with parents, so sending out, in there.
I suppose there's only so much you can do. People should know that they shouldn't drive on a pavement.
Yeah.
Particularly if there's children around.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And one of the things is that we regularly get traffic enforcement outside of the schools. But what happens is the moment the traffic enforcement officers are gone, people sort of revert back to their poor behaviour. The other area we're actually getting measures implemented in the imminent is Hall Green Junior School on the Petersfield Road again.
Okay.
We've had previous measures put there, but there's more in the pipeline for that. So it's about these issues are ongoing issues. It's about working with the schools, working with residents, raising awareness, and doing everything we can, to keep our children safe.
Okay, so the Labour Party, obviously it comes with its challenges. Residents are dealing with bin disruptions, potholes, and rising council tax. Do you accept that people feel that they are paying more but getting less?
So, Abid, I think we can't. I think I'd like to start first of all with the impact that 14 years of austerity have had on our communities. Now, I worked in public services, frontline public services, for over 20 years before I became a councillor.
Okay.
So I know the devastating impact 14 years of austerity had on our communities.
Okay.
Councils like Birmingham had £1 billion stripped from their budget. Now, that means there was less money for the things and services that are important to our residents.
Okay.
Now this year is the first time that because of the Labour government, we've had a fairer funding review, and councils like Birmingham have been given, rightly so, have been given a boost in funding to be able to tackle those issues. So we've had £651 million, which is over 3 years. So not only does that give us more money to put back into frontline services, it also helps us, plan better, because when you have 1 year budgets, it's difficult for councils to put in measures, that are consistent over a period of time. But now, because we've got this funding over 3 years, we can plan better. Now, I completely acknowledge, the frustration that, residents, are feeling. But, things are changing, and, these things will take time. But we have a plan on how to fix these issues. In this year's budget already, we've put £25 million towards improving the roads. We've put money into enforcement, to tackle some of those issues in street cleaning. So all the issues, libraries as well.
So just on that point, so many residents and a lot of our viewers and people who watch this podcast, maybe they don't understand the structure or how the council's finances actually work. Because we keep on hearing this figure, 650 million. But what does it actually mean? How does it translate? So if you could please explain how the council's finances and how they work and how the budgets are made up.
So I'll try my best.
Please.
So yes. So obviously councils are responsible for so many different things, and I think a lot of people, unless you're sort of working in the council or involved in sort of local authorities, it may be people may
and
not have.
And this is what I'm trying to make. It's very easy for us on the outside to point a finger and say, well, you've got 650 million. What have you done with it? Which is what everyone's asking, and that's what's going on right here, right now. But I understand that there's a structure, there's a process. So how is the budget made up, and how is it allocated, and who decides what money goes where? So first of all, councils are responsible for so many different things. So whether it's social care, so adult social care, whether it's children's services, there's a lot of things other than like what residents that we're talking about, like sort of the more visible sort of things. The councils are responsible for many, many things, and obviously in terms of with social care, with children's, those are rising costs. These are areas where a bulk of the council's budgets are go towards. So the way the council budgets are made up, so there is a majority of the funding comes from government. Some of that may be ring fenced for specific areas. Okay. So for example, the public health grant, you may have the homelessness, something that, a funding that's specifically for councils to tackle homelessness, and that money can only be used for that specific thing. Okay.
And obviously we have some income from council tax as well, some of which goes to the police and the fire.
How much of the income is made up from council tax?
Okay, now you've put me on the spot there, so I don't have the exact percentage of that, but the percentage is relatively small compared
No,
to.
but
We're talking
collectively
about
it's about 17%, 16 or 17%.
it's I mean, yeah, so it's a small percent. I won't put a figure on that, but in comparison to the whole of the overall budget of the council, it's a small part of the overall budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the recent council tax rises, is that because the government funding has decreased from central government, or I mean, obviously people are intrigued. We're in a cost of living crisis, and with what's going on internationally right now, obviously the cost is going to increase more. People are genuinely frustrated. Council tax, just that issue there, the recent increase again. So why is that coming about? Is it because central government is funding less, or the grants are less, or?
So first of all, let me, completely acknowledge that, in terms of, how residents are feeling around that. So I think if you look at local authorities up and down the country, Birmingham is not the only local authority that has had to increase the council tax. And it's because of the challenges that, local authorities face. So there's certain costs which are increasing. So, for example, we've got an aging population. So the cost of, adult social care is increasing. The cost of, again, children's services, SEND services, those costs are, ever increasing. So again, there's an impact on the councils and themselves. So, in terms of, Birmingham is not the only council that is, increasing. It's many councils, if not all, up and down the country that are having to take this measure to balance their budgets.
So the 26 and 27 budget includes a 130 million boost, including 40 million for cleaner streets. Do you know how these priorities were decided?
So this was from listening to residents. So obviously, as councillors, we talk to our residents, we listen to them. It's what they tell us that is important to them, and councillors feed into that as a Labour group, and it's the issues that residents are telling us that are important to them, and cleaner streets. I have to say, from my in my ward. And many other wards across the city is a top priority for residents.
And compared to most of Birmingham, Hall Green is one of the clean ones.
So we're lucky to have a lot of active community groups. Like across the city, we have many active litter picking groups, voluntary groups, and they are invaluable to the city. I want to thank each and every one of them. I know that sometimes it can seem like a thankless task, because they're out there day in, day out. In my ward, we have people like Neelam, we have Tracy. They're amazing individuals that are coming out, and they come out and because they want to improve the area, they're playing their part. Yeah. So I have the utmost respect for all these for all our volunteer groups, and I really want to thank them for all the work that they do.
But with £40 million investment into cleaner streets, why is Birmingham still the way it is with the bin crisis and the rubbish on every street corner? So
that £40 million, will improve. It will improve the street cleaning. That's exactly why it's there for. In terms of with the bins issue, we all want this to be resolved as quickly as possible.
Do you not feel it's gone on for long enough?
I think I acknowledge that that it's that people feel that it's gone on for a long time. What I'm positive about is that both the union and the council and the leader John Cotton have expressed publicly that they are open to restart the negotiations, and Labour are committed to ending this bin strike. That is a key pledge for us and a key priority for us.
So John Cotton has said publicly that the council is now no longer bankrupt. Does that reflect the reality to residents from what we're experiencing? Do we feel like we're out of bankruptcy?
So I'm just going to go to my earlier point in terms of we have just passed a balanced budget, so we've closed the £300 million gap. I absolutely acknowledge that the last couple of years have been really difficult. I'm not going to sit here and lie about that or shy away from that. No, the last couple of years have been difficult. But again, it comes back to that point is, that £1 billion that was cut from the council's budget. But the last couple of years, has been a, improvement and recovery journey for the council. We are now very much focused on, improving services and delivering for the residents of the city.
Okay. So in your role as digital culture and heritage minister, what is your key achievements for the city?
So one of the things that I'm really proud of in my role that I've been able to do is initiate and help deliver Ramadan streets. I don't know if you're...
That was really good, yes.
So the way that came about...
and I think it was high time because it took all the noise off Coventry Road itself and brought it into one safe space, which freed up Coventry Road.
Yeah, so absolutely. And sort of the way... So I'm not the kind of person who just sits and talks about things. I like to, deliver actively, do something about the issues, that I'm passionate about. So when I saw some of those headlines about Coventry Road, and I'll just remind your viewers, Ramadan markets from hell.
Yes.
And I was like, no, that's not happening. Not on my watch.
Yeah.
Because I knew that where that sort of came from was the way like people marked Ramadan previously has changed. A lot of our young people, my children even, they like to go out with their friends. They like to have iftaris. It's very different. Like when I was growing up, iftari was you were at home with the family.
Yes.
It was very much about now.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Our young people, they want to, they want to try all these new.
And plus now we've got different cultures. We've got massive diversity.
Yeah. They want to try all these new, matches and all these, these new trends that are happening, which I think is amazing, and and like obviously on the Coventry Road, these were like unregulated markets that were there, but and it was chaos, the residents, it was causing chaos for residents, but in that I saw opportunity, like why and my
what were the tangible outcomes for residents from initiatives like that?
So I mean, anyone who visited that could see for themselves. I mean, what we turned what was chaos on the Coventry Road into something that was regulated, that was safe, that was a space that families could come together. I mean, one of the key things for me for this was that it has to be a space where families are welcome, where women are welcome. Because a lot of times, there may be spaces that women don't feel welcome coming.
Yes.
Especially Muslim women.
Absolutely.
So that was really important to me to create a safe space where families could come. And so last year, we had over 30,000 people come, throughout the 5 days of the markets. I think all of us were blown away because we didn't expect that kind of response.
Oh, there's a huge demand for it, obviously.
Yeah. And the key thing was bringing the right partners on board. You have to have the right partners on board. Soul City Arts, the Halal Food Festival, these are people who've got a wealth of experience, but they don't just talk inclusion. They mean it. It's, we can't have people who don't understand the community well and are passionate about the community to deliver something like this. You need people who really understand the community. So it was about getting the right partners on board. And this year, people saw the success of last year, and we managed to get Birmingham City Football Club on board. So that's grown. So, we always knew, and my late councillor colleague, Councillor Wasim Zafar, yes. Amazing person.
Very active.
He was absolutely amazing person. This all came from a conversation me and him had.
Yes.
We need to do something
and
about this.
This is something that he would have dreamt of.
He absolutely. He was a visionary, and it's an absolute huge loss to our city. His passing. He did a lot for the city, and one of the legacies that he's left behind is he's mentored a lot of people. Yes. He was one of my mentors as well. So it's a Ramadan Streets.
Yep. Political views aside, Wasim Zafar was an extraordinary individual, larger than life.
Yeah.
And mashallah, he achieved a lot. Yeah. Not everything I agree with, but he'd done his fair share. So the coroner service, a pain for our community, Muslim community. So from my understanding, it's funded by the council, and it's a partnership with Oxford University. And the pathologist that we employ is on a 2-day a week. Do you not feel that that's the reason that it's taking so long for the coroner to release the bodies?
So I absolutely acknowledge what an important issue this is for the Muslim community, for the Jewish community. This is something that, again, we need to get this right. And you know, like I know
You'll appreciate when there's a death,
Of
and
course.
it's happening, unfortunately, more and more now. Families are having to wait weeks. I went through it 4 years ago. I had to wait 12 days.
No, I absolutely acknowledge that.
And in
because-
that period, the family is in limbo. They can't go forward, they can't go backwards. You can't bury the person, you can't do up, your life's on hold. And this is a huge pain. And I didn't know this until earlier today. And actually, someone sent me this question. But I didn't realize that our pathologists were just 2 days a week.
So, as my understanding is that the pathologists, they don't actually work for the council; they work for they're appointed by the government.
Yes.
So that's that. But no, absolutely, I acknowledge that. I have many residents who, who contact me with concerns around this, and this is something that we do need to get right for our Muslim and Jewish communities for whom a quick burial is really, really important for us.
Yes.
This is something that
Are we taking any action, or are we doing
So
anything?
this is
for that?
something as me personally, and I know many colleagues in the council have, campaigned for, and I'm really hopeful that in the next term, this is something that we will get resolved.
Okay. So, the Labour Party has led the council through a very difficult period. What went wrong, and who takes responsibility?
So
And we can talk about the previous austerity and all that, but there has to be some blame on the current leadership.
So I think what I'll say about the current leadership is that we've actually we have taken responsibility. So like when from my role, when I joined cabinet, it was very shortly after the council found itself in financial difficulties. And when no one expects to find themselves in a position like that when you take on this kind of role. But it's about who steps up and makes those difficult decisions, because it's not easy, because you're having to choose between tough decisions and tough decisions.
Yes.
And that's what us as elected
And
representatives...
it's prioritising what's important.
What's important, exactly. And it's very difficult, because all the decisions that you have in those situations are challenging.
Yes.
But what we try to do is protect the most vulnerable, protect the services that are for the most vulnerable people. So I think that we have taken responsibility. We stepped up when our city was in a troubled time and the council was in a troubled time. We've made those difficult decisions, but now we're on the road to recovery. We have a plan, moving forward. We have the additional funding. We know what the priorities that residents are telling us that are important to them, and that's what we're investing in.
There were allegations of a toxic culture within the party, including concerns around racism. What's your experience of that?
So I think, in terms of if we look at as a across the country as a whole, I'll speak that way. There's really worrying rise of Islamophobia currently. That's really concerning to me as a Muslim woman. To see that I'm a mother of a daughter. I have boys that I'm bringing up. And I know many parents talk to me about this, about the rise of racism and the divisive rhetoric.
And it is becoming the norm now, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the mainstream, you're seeing that this is becoming normalized. And we have to, whatever role we're in, whichever political party we're in, when we see this, we have to call it out. And that's exactly what many of us are doing. And being in a political party, when talk about the Labour Party, it's a broad church. We have many communities, many voices that are represented in there. And I know, like a lot of people...
I think you yourself accused Ian Ward in 2022 of racism. And more recently, you've spoken about avoiding division. So how do you reconcile these two positions?
So I don't. Yeah.
Because let's be honest, and I've had other parties, I've had the same conversation. So I'm not saying something to you that I haven't said already to somebody else. From where I'm sitting, 50-year-old who's been born and raised in Birmingham, now a granddad, I am worried. I really am worried. What does the future hold for my grandchildren? It appears to me, as a professional in Birmingham, that racism is becoming normalized. The only way that happens is if the people at the top are not stopping it. And in some way, encouraging it. Because if you're not stopping it, then you're encouraging it. Is there anything happening in the party?
So, look, I think it's really important that people call it out. Now, before becoming a councillor, one of the other roles that I held was I was an equality officer for my branch of the trade union.
So you understand it more than
So
anybody.
I completely understand. And as a Muslim woman,
And you probably face it more than everybody.
Yeah, so I faced my fair share of it, which is why I'm someone who's like really passionate about this issue. It's really important to me, like I've said already. So I will always, call out, any forms of racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism that I witness or I'm party to, and I know that this is something that's really important to the leadership in the council and for our councillors, council candidates as well. This is a key priority for us.
Just one. Councillors are too scared to say anything in case they get deselected. What's your comment on that?
So I don't think that's the case. I mean, like for me, like I said, the Labour Party is a broad church. You have many different voices. It's about being respectful and listening to different voices and coming together and collectively agreeing on points. So you're not always going to agree with everything that everyone says.
Yes.
But one thing that I can say is that us as a Labour group, we do have zero tolerance towards racism, anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. And this is something that I've been vocal on, and many of my colleagues have also been vocal on.
Is that a zero tolerance stance on it?
Yeah. So we do not tolerate such behaviour.
Okay, I've got one comment here. Money spent on bicycle lanes, limiting speed, and 150 million on an IT system, which is completely incompetent. Mm-hmm. What went wrong there?
So I think in terms of the bicycle lanes, I mean, that's like, if you speak to people who use bicycles, they would probably have a very different view.
I don't wish to speak ill of the deceased. Yeah. And I love Wasim more than anybody. But the one gripe I had with him, he put a bicycle lane outside my paper. So when I leave my drive, I have to drive over the bicycle lane to get onto the road. And the amount of pictures that cyclists have taken of me and sent to the police because the cyclists think they own the road. First, Bolton Road, Small Heath. Why on earth is there a bike lane there? Who in their right mind? And I've never seen a cyclist on that road. I'm sure you haven't. And I don't think my viewers have. Right. Why is there a bike lane there? And I can imagine how much money was spent on that. And this is not me asking, this is the audience. But I get it. I completely get it because we all share the same frustrations. Yeah. I get it. In some areas like Selly Oak, fantastic. Students in and out of city centre, on the bike, brilliant. They love it.
Yeah.
But in areas like Small Heath, where's the consultation? What's the thought process?
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with the two bicycle lanes that you're talking about. I don't think I've been on Bolton Road, but so I get it. Look, this is part of being a councillor is that you have a lot of differing views. So I'll just give you an example. Like in my ward, Petersfield Road, I had lots of people saying to me, "Oh, we need to we need speed reduction measures. Speeding is a massive issue." So through our environment and transport budget, we said, okay, we'll get speed ramps put on that road.
Speed ramps. I think nobody can have a gripe with speed ramps because
no, you'll be surprised. So what happened was, if I tell you, finish the story. So we went out to consultation with we went and spoke to a lot of the residents. People were supportive of this. And then when the consultation came out, we had 19 people object to the proposal. Then I went following and spoke to people and said, no, we don't want this. So then as a councillor, then how do you decide, like you've got like about 20 people who are in favour, 20 people who are not in favour. So it's a challenging sort of position to say, okay, how difficult, and we may not always get the decision around that right. But like for me on a personal level, it's always about listening to residents and trying to be as fair as possible, and like get the best outcomes for residents.
Okay. So residents are struggling with bills, frustrated with services, and losing trust. Why should they believe in you and the council? Will you get it right this time, if elected?
So I completely understand, the difficulties that people are facing through the cost of living crisis. It's been a number of years that families have struggled. Again, we can't get away from the fact that the impact, reduced funding in council from the previous government has had on residents. I think what I'd like to say is, in terms of, if you look at some of the stuff that the Labour government has put in place, like getting rid of the two-child benefit gap, also implementing, breakfast clubs, and thousands of children in Birmingham are going to benefit from that. So I think people, and I completely get it. People want to see the difference, feel the difference, very quickly. But these things will take time. What I would say is that we've proven leadership by rising up to the challenge that that we faced. Okay, someone say. So yeah, so when you're faced with sort of a challenging situation, I think that's what kind of it's how you deal with that. And we did not walk away from that challenge.
Okay.
We stepped up and took those difficult decisions that needed to be taken.
Listen, I get it. As a councillor, as a council, you'll never please everybody. But there's some things that have happened which you seem to think that your common sense just recycle it. I mean, the Commonwealth Village, look at it. It's just I haven't even touched on that. The thing is, we've got very short time. I could go on forever, and these comments could go on forever. There has been failings. People do feel let down. Recent polls are suggesting that Labour's very, very weak. What can you say to the audience to reassure them that you've still got your finger on the pulse, you know what's going on, and that things are going to change?
So I absolutely acknowledge that. Like I said earlier, that I'm not going to shy away from acknowledging the frustration and what people are failing. There's a lot of lessons in terms of some of the things that you mentioned that need to be learned. And I think just looking at the council itself, we have a number of new officers. We have a new managing director. Many of the top officers in the council have been brought in with extremely talented. So yeah, just coming back to the point that I made earlier is that we're through the difficult period, and now it's a journey on being we're focused fully on basic services, on the street cleaning, on the improving the roads, and on the issues that matter the most.
Improving the roads, I mean, that's a huge project. It's Birmingham-wide, and I can imagine it's going to cost a lot of money.
So we've put £25 million into improvements in roads, and already, and that's not just in one part of the city. That's funding that's going to go into every corner of the city.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen your TikToks about the potholes.
And genuinely, honestly, I went for a service, and they send you a video of your vehicle. Underneath my vehicle, he showed me 3 bubbles in my tires.
Yeah, I saw your TikToks about that. No, absolutely. That we need to do better on that. And this funding that we've put towards the £25 million that is going to improving the roads. That's the the reason behind that.
Just one final. I mean, we should be talking about Hall Green, but I know I've slightly deviated. The LTN in Kings Heath, the famous LTN, which has been the vein of many people. People love it. I get it. The residents may have loved it when they heard about it, but let's be honest, it's had a huge impact on Kingsheath High Street. Absolute impact. And I think they tried in Lozells as well. And then I think in Kingsheath, they scrapped phase 2 because they kind of saw that how detrimental it was to the high street, because literally they're paying excessive rents already. They're paying incredible amount of council tax. The poor shops there, they're not cheap. And with the LTN, the trade has gone dead. And I insure a lot of businesses there. So this is not things I've heard. This is actual facts, right? So, and the amount of money that went into that LTN, what was the method or the thoughts behind that, or consultation even?
So I think again, the history sort of behind that I'm not as familiar with. But what I would say with any sort of scheme like that, again, as I said, there's always going to be differing views. I mean, obviously in that specific area, it's a businesses, residents, schools. So there's a lot of views that are the differing views. So I think what's really important with that is that residents, businesses, everyone is consulted on. And listen, that they feel that they have a space to be listened to. And I know that my colleagues that have been councillors in that area have absolutely been doing that. And I think moving forward, I think again it's really important that that any such schemes again are done so in consultation with residents. And I know in this one there has been a lot of consultation that's taken place.
Okay, Hall Green, what's the one thing that you're proud of? What have you achieved?
I think I've touched upon some of the
parks,
the
so
I've touched upon the parks and the schools. I think for me the key thing is being present. It's being there for the residents, and residents being able to contact me. I think that's really being accessible. And nowadays, people communicate in many different ways. So it's not the traditional way where just surgeries are the traditional sort of surgery methods. People want to be able to contact you many different ways. So I've had to learn as well, as a counsellor,
Adopt TikTok.
Yeah,
Powerful.
So I've never had been on TikTok before, but when I it's like I have to do this because my
Amazing.
residents they want to be able to contact me in different ways.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did was I don't know if anyone's seen it, but the day in the life of a councillor and a cabinet member.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
And it was one of the young person in my ward, Hamza, who actually said to me, "Look, what is it that you actually do? People don't know what the job of a councillor or a cabinet member involves."
Yeah.
So I thought that's really important because a lot of times you hear people say, "We don't see you," or "We don't do this," or whatever, but. So it's important for us to share and inspire the next generation,
and also keep the public up to date with
what you're doing,
because obviously people don't see you every day. You could be working on something in the background which people don't know about, and TikTok is a way to kind of get that message out there.
No, absolutely. And for me, the most important thing is that I know that I'm not going to be in this role for forever. No one is. These roles are a complete honour for us to be able to do these, and it's been a huge honour to serve my city. But I want to inspire the next generation, to
Talking about the next generation, I mean, I've interviewed quite a few young 20-something-year-olds on this podcast, and I've been honestly thrilled at the level of candidates coming through. This whole independent movement. So yesterday when the list came out, I kind of spent a few hours on it last night scrutinising it. 615 candidates contesting 101 seats, out of which 100 of them are independents. What's your thoughts and views on that?
So I think, look, first of all, I think I have the utmost respect of anyone who wants to put themselves up for this role, because I know from my experience that it's not the easiest role in the world. I don't have a life, I don't get to, it's a 24/7 job. Nowadays a councillor job is, one of the things that I'm really sad about is that I don't get to see my parents, the elderly.
And I don't think people see that side of your life, do they?
Yeah, the people won't see that. So before becoming a councillor, I was able to see my siblings, do things with them, see my parents on a regular basis. But that's a sacrifice that I make to give my 100% to this role. Okay. So I have the utmost respect for anyone who's putting themselves forward for the role of a councillor. But I think, for me, it's, I think the city's kind of been there before with the sort of independent stroke, smaller parties, which, and I don't feel that you can have that impact, in terms of being part of, like a smaller party. So this is why, like, for me personally, I think that, it's we have to be united, in a united voice and be part of the mainstream.
But with what the polls are suggesting right now, and with the weakness in the Labour Party and the massive rise of the independents, what do you see happening on election day?
So I would hope, that we put our pledges and our case forward to the public, and that, that we get our message across. And I think that's what's really important for me, is getting our message across. What is it that we stand for? What is it that we're going to do for the city? And I think that's what I'm.
Why should residents vote for a party rather than the independents?
So, I think this is just what I've covered. I think as a party, I think, and the mainstream parties, you have like a whole structure in place. Like in terms of parties, whether it's from filtering out candidates, the selection processes, the experience of running local authorities. You have a lot of support, from the parties. It's in terms of like some of the things that I've seen, like from your podcast, where people are promising certain things, and I think, like, do you know how local authorities work? Do you have that knowledge?
Do you feel that there's a massive misunderstanding out there about how it works?
So I do think that there's like
because you can't just go in and throw your weight around, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, like. And that was a learning curve for me as well, like...
You may think from the outside that you can go in and say your thing and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to face scrutiny, it's going to face backlash, it's going to face questioning.
So, when I first became councillor, I think, like it's quite awakening when you actually go into the council house and it's like, well, you can't do this because of this, there's this legal implication, there's this. And it's until you're in the role that you don't realise exactly, the bureaucracy that you have to sort of deal with in a local authority. One of the things that I did when Abid, when I took on this role, I took on every single training opportunity that was available in the council, because that's really important, because
there is an element of learning on the job, isn't there?
There's a lot of learning on the job, but there's also like really great courses that the council provide to candidates and a council once you're elected. That people can go on to sort of learn, but it takes a long time. I think the first year of being a councillor, you're just learning and finding the ropes,
as well as dealing with the residents, as well as dealing with the queries, the complaints, and everything else. Right, we have a rapid fire round. One word to describe Birmingham.
Birmingham is resilient, I'd say.
Biggest issue facing residents right now.
Unity.
Bin strikes or potholes, which gets first?
I'm just trying to think what my residents... I'd say bin strike.
One thing the council must improve immediately.
I would say street cleaning.
Any decision that you stand by, no matter what the criticism.
Investing in culture.
Sometimes people something that people misunderstood about you.
So I would say about councillors, one of the things that people misunderstand is that they don't listen. I listen. We do listen.
Social media, powerful or toxic?
I think it can be really powerful if you use properly.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee all the way.
Finish the sentence off. If elected in 2026, I will.
Let's see now. If you want someone who just talks, there's a lot of options. But if you want someone who delivers, then vote for me.
Okay. 30 seconds, that camera there. Why should the people of Hall Green North vote for Saima Suleman?
I think I've just said it. If you want someone who delivers, vote for me.
Saima, honestly, thank you very much for coming. I totally
Thank you.
appreciate you're the first serving councillor we've had in, and I do appreciate that, irrespective of all the stigmas attached. It takes a lot of courage to come here, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. We wish you the very best in your campaign, and we look forward to following it. But if you do get re-elected, then we will be holding this surgery once a month, getting everybody back in and just finding out what's been going on, what they've done, and what they are planning to do. That's something that I've committed to, and inshallah, I will continue. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Abid. I think what you're doing here is really great. I think it's really inspirational. I think it's the first of its kind, and I look forward to seeing your podcast growing.
Thank you very much.
Coming back here again, hopefully as an elected councillor, but in any other capacity, if you'll have me.
Inshallah, thank you very much. People, thank you for joining in. It's been a great evening. We've had some fantastic people in. A couple of days and we'll be back with Mr. Zahoor Malik from Bosal Heath. I know he's watching right now. So get ready. You are about to get into the hot seat. Until next time, be good, be safe, and inshallah, catch you all soon.